Khadim is in focus. It's been a decent quarter with the top line growth are higher by about 31%. Margins though have contracted and the profits are flat at 10 crore rupees. Ishani Ray is the CEO of the company, now joining in to talk a little bit more about the quarter gone by. Thank you for taking time out and being with us. To begin with, it's been strong sales growth this time around at about 196 crore rupees. What really led to this, and will you continue to see traction?
So Q4 saw stronger sales growth because in Q4 we clocked institutional sales. We had institutional sales in Q4. But other than that, the retail sales and the distribution sales are more or less as per the guidance that we have given. Going forward, we expect the retail and the distribution sale to grow at an overall blended basis of 22% growth, and institutional sales is something that one cannot predict. It based on the government tenders that are floated, but hopefully next year also we'll have a reasonable amount of institutional sales.
Okay, that of course is Ishani Ray joining in from the sidelines of the Axis conference. Ishani, your margins however were a bit subdued. Could we attribute the reason to the institutional sales, which you said were a bit higher, and what's the outlook going ahead?
Reason for subdued margin is again institutional sales. These are government tender based sales, so these are on low margin than usual normal business margin, and business generally the margin was, both the retail and the distribution segment margin was more or less stable. So we expect an improvement on the company margin by about 0.5 to 0.75%.
Now, your retail stores are mostly concentrated in the tier 3 towns. What are the plans for expansion? Is this going to continue to be your strategy with the mid and the mass segment? And will you look to ramp up your portfolio, introduce some premium products as well? Is that on the agenda?
So, first to answer, we call ourselves an affordable fashion brand. So, our target audience, target consumer segment is the middle class segment, and we intend to focus there because we feel that is the burgeoning middle class in the Indian consumer space, and there's lots of scope of growing in that segment. Within that middle class itself, we have introduced sub brands which are more premiumized products. So we would continue to focus on the middle class by giving them the aspirational satisfaction through our sub brands. But if you ask me whether we are eyeing the premium segment of the consumer pyramid, we are not. Second, on the growth plan, we have majority of our stores, bulk of our stores in the tier 2 and tier 3. Going forward, we would be having more stores in metro, mini metro and tier 1 also, because if we look at our store strength, what is in tier 2 and tier 3 are primarily in the eastern part of the country. So what we did, we first opened store in cities, then we went to tier 1 and tier 2, and then we went for deep down penetration in tier 3 and below. Now, since our focus is that we have completed east nearly in totality, we would be concentrating on south and the other newer regions. So more stores would be coming up in metros and the tier 1, tier 2. So the mix would see a shift from being primarily in tier 3 to having some larger presence in tier 1 and metros also.
Okay, could you give us an update on your plans for the franchise model, because of course majority of your revenues comes from there, and how many of your franchise stores are currently active?
So as of date we have 753 retail outlets, of which around 185 are company owned, company operated, and rest about 500 plus are your franchisee outlets which are all active. And going forward, we would be on our expansion plan, we would be opening anywhere between 75 to 80 new retail outlets, of which about 50 to 55 would be franchisee and the rest would be company owned, company operated outlets.
All right, thanks very much for joining in, giving us a heads up on how things are shaping up, the kind of product category you're looking at, your overall expansion plans, as well as the model that you operate in.